the Overman Warrior Podcast.
This is not what you want to see or expect on opening day in Cincinnati. A dangerous and disappointing end to the night.
And this is just one of the violent incidents police have been dealing with tonight. A line of officers there being rushed by a group of people down there at the banks.
And that's just one of the incidents. We are leading the way tonight with that breaking news as a day of celebration in Cincinnati turns into sheer chaos tonight. So many incidents this evening. Cincinnati police have called in the SWAT and critical response teams. Thanks for joining us here after the game. I'm Sheree Palloa.
And I'm Mike Darnish. The opening day party boiling over, as you saw. Police sources telling us tonight that all night long, dozens of officers have actually been requesting their shields. WLWT News 5's Aaron Thomas on it for us live at the banks with the problems. Aaron.
Hi, it's Rich Hoffman again. So the fights, the violence that broke out on opening day, Cincinnati, Ohio, is making national news, and Cincinnati's embarrassed again by what happened. Actually happened down on the banks, happened in other places and over the Rhine. Several pockets of violence broke out. What it really came down to is youth getting out of control. There was crowds opening day in Cincinnati. Typically is a very festive event. Cincinnati Reds, doing their festivities, and it's always a great celebration. Ballparks all over the country opening, Major League Baseball opening. It's a wonderful American pastime, and it's a great bit of Americana. But of course, you had a bunch of disenchanted youth. You even had people who were in their 40s and 50s who got arrested for massive amounts of violence that occurred at the banks, which is a very nice riverfront property development right outside between the two stadiums, Paul Brown Stadium, where the Bengals play, and Great American Ballpark, where the Reds play. And there's a really nice set of restaurants and businesses there that really make the experience on the riverfront. It's a great development, and people should be able to go there and enjoy opening day and have a great time. But there's a lot of violence that broke out, and it wasn't just localized to one place. It occurred all over the city. I think one of the best statements I heard about the violence came from a good friend of mine, Sheriff Jones from Butler County, very popular celebrity sheriff. That's very, very popular. Does a lot of media all over the world even. And his statement about it was that they soft on crime policies have allowed those kinds of malcontents to be emboldened. And for years, Cincinnati has taken on, it hasn't always been that way, and it's a challenge in every city. But they tend to lean blue. Hamilton County has a lot of Democrats in it because that's Democrats like to get together and hug a lot, and they like to socialize together a lot, and they like to be in camaraderie with other human beings. Whereas conservative types like to have a little elbow room. They like to have a fence between them and their neighbor. They like to maybe drive a couple miles to the store to get something. They like to have space. They don't want someone next to them. When they go to the movie theater, they might say hi to someone over there, but they're probably not going to sit next to somebody if there's a seat or two between them. There's a difference between people, and people who really like to have other interaction with other human beings tend to conjugate in cities, and then they tend to vote Democrat because Democrats like to hide below the line. They like to hide in the background. They like to be one more face in the crowd so they don't get singled out. They certainly don't want to draw attention to themselves too much. They like to just live their life and hide in the crowd. So you get a lot of Democrats in cities, and Democrats tend to use minority communities as a way, as again, a mass push to hide in a crowd to advance social agendas, because through collectivism it gives them empowerment, so they can create voter blocks out of mass groups that they can exploit, make them feel underprivileged. They're certainly going to do it. So years and years these policies have bred this discontent in minority communities, and all levels of minority communities, and they tend to conjugate in cities. And Cincinnati has been soft on crime, had a series of really soft mayors. The unions have not had a good relationship with the mayors or the city council, and it's gotten out of control over a long period of time, and they have not been hard on crime the way they should in Hamilton County in general, which is where Cincinnati is, and then the city of Cincinnati. And so they always felt, Democrats did, that if they invested, and I do have to talk about a situation. I have inside knowledge on all this. I have a history. I lived in Cincinnati for a period of my life, a short period, but a period of my life. I lived on the campus of UC, and I've had the University of Cincinnati, and I've had a lot of interaction with the downtown region for a long time, including knowing several mayors and city council members and commissioners, and I understand the politics very, very well. And I know what went into a lot of the investment projects in Over the Rhine, and of course the Banks project. In fact, I have to say, and it was a team of mine that I was a part of at the time, and I was in my 20s, and I wasn't the pitch man on that, but I was there for it. But before any of the developers worked out the Banks project, exactly what's down there right now, I was part of the team that pitched it. And this was 93 when that was done down at City Hall. I remember the night, and all the developers came and made their pitch for what should happen on the Banks and develop from the river and connect the river to downtown and what would happen. And this is, I don't even think Paul Brown Stadium was built yet, and they call it something else, Paycor Stadium, I think they call it now. They changed the name, but I think it was even before Paul Brown Stadium that we did this pitch. And it took an additional 10 years of just lining things up and pounding out, because it takes a long time to get a bunch of Democrats to sit down and work stuff out with investment. And then when investment gets attached to woke stuff, they didn't call it woke stuff back then, but that was before we named it woke, it still was ineffective. And the belief at the time, because I sat in many meetings, and the belief was, if we fix up apartments, then people will treat them better. If we fix up Over the Rhine and bring business into it, the people who live there will benefit. They'll rise to the occasion. And what they didn't realize is that the victimization cycle that was taught to those entire communities, and the Democrat policies of keeping them below the line to drive political narratives, well, when they were pushed below the line for social mechanisms of mass movements, because they wanted the numbers, so they went out and created block voting with minorities by making them feel victimized so they could use it, weaponize them in a political scene. Well, they didn't decide that they were all of a sudden going to have upper mobility and go earn high income so they could go to the many restaurants and bars that they put in Over the Rhine and they put on the Banks. They were still going to be people who had gang affiliations and the kind of attachment you find in high crime communities, the problem Chicago has. They all have the same basic issue. And Cincinnati shouldn't have those problems, yet they do, because for a couple decades now, they created victims out of the neighborhoods. They didn't teach them self-empowerment. They didn't teach them upper mobility. They victimized them and then wonder why they go out and beat people up when they all mass gather at like opening day baseball games for the Reds. And everybody should be having fun. The kids should be having a safe time and everybody should be good. But no, they had big fights and really embarrassing. And lots of people got arrested. And the fights broke out everywhere. There were robberies. There were major beatings. Because once that animal instinct kicks in, the animal instinct comes from being a below-the-line type person. Democrats make them that way because of their policy, their desire to hide in the crowd, their desire to use the crowd then for a mass movement. And so when they don't behave by the rules because they don't respect the rules because they've been taught that through masses they can achieve anything, and they can be act as animalistic as they want. And if they want to, as a bunch of thugs, go and beat up 10 people ganging up on somebody so they can rob them and beat them to the near death, they're going to do it because they've been taught that's soft on crime policies is what you're going to get out of the police, and the mayor's going to back it. And the mayor, last time this had a major embarrassment like this, the mayor tried to cover it all up. They didn't go out there and try to crack down. They instead, I guess, sent him cotton candy and gave him a lollipop and told him that was okay. It's okay, you've been a subverted class, and we're gonna be nice to you. We won't put you in jail. We'll put you in. If we do arrest you, you'll be out in time to go home and watch something on Netflix. I always pick on Netflix because I really don't like Netflix much. I mean, I watch shows on it when there's something important, but it's ran by Obama and a bunch of liberals, so I'm not real crazy about it. So I like to pick on Netflix, and people waste a lot of time watching shows and things like that. So a lot of the people get arrested, they're out in time to watch. They don't even miss a schedule. They're only there for a short time. And Sheriff Jones would know because he does a really good job in Butler County. And Butler County, pretty good on crime in Butler County. And there's a commitment to that. And Butler County is just north of Hamilton County. So the differences is quite extensive. And when you do have people that get out of control, they get reeled in and get taken care of. And I know that too, because I know the prosecutor and I know a lot of people in law enforcement, and I know what they're willing to do to make sure that people feel like they can live their lives and go to the gas station at 2 a.m, not worry about it. But in Hamilton County, you got to wonder, and that's because they've been soft on crime, and that's why when you get a bunch of people together and a few people get out of control, it turns into mass chaos. And I'm not talking about any of that stuff on the news. But I think Sheriff Jones is right what he said. He's definitely on point, and he would know. He's been very successful. So he has a right to criticize, and so do everybody who looks at that mess down in Hamilton County and Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a very nice town. But going back to my roots in on the investment side, I was there when they pitched the Banks project, and it took the banks a while to actually get developed because everybody was slow walking it to a really sick degree. But I remember making the pitch. I remember the drawings that were put up, and I remember being there in the city council chamber with the mayor and everybody there, and all the people had money to invest in the Banks project. That would take a decade more to get off the ground. Built the stadiums, and they connected it finally 20-some years later with the banks. But the belief at the start of that project, I'm in my 50s now, I was in my 20s when that started. The belief was if you attracted investors to go build new things, that people would improve their lives. And all it did was give them something to go tear up and vandalize and break. And you still have crime in the areas. They still act bad. And they acted horribly at the Banks project, and it was embarrassing. And it was a fairly large group of people, and those people I guarantee you, they weren't voting Republican. They're all Democrats, and most of them are probably on public assistance. Most of them have been are addicted to government services, and they've been victimized to exploit them for political causes. And everybody who's done that to them made them the way they are. And that's why they act in mass riots in terrible, detrimental ways, as was exhibited at the wonderful Banks project on the Reds opening day. So not only did the Reds lose their first game, they didn't even score a hit. That's embarrassing. When you have all season to get ready and you can't even go out there and hit the ball. People were sad coming out of something that's supposed to be a happy day. And then there's a big fight outside in an area that shouldn't have any kind of trouble. It should be well policed, should be great security. There shouldn't be trouble. People shouldn't be willing to cause trouble, but yet they did. Because they're Democrats, and that's what Democrats do. And Sheriff Jones of Butler County and others who are calling it out the way it should be called out are right. If you victimize people and teach them to be victims, they're going to behave badly. and not take responsibility for their own actions. Instead, they're going to exploit others and try to steal what's theirs. And that's exactly what happened with the violence that broke out in the banks and over the Rhine and many other locations around Cincinnati on opening day 2026. And everybody involved should be deeply ashamed of themselves. It's embarrassing. Mike Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you haven't read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. Anyway, have a good day. See you later.
Thank you for listening.